My hands are already cold.
Tonight they're gonna be.
Not only, the eyes go, then your blood thins out too.
Doesn't get better than.
No, it's gonna be like 45 degrees tonight.
Okay, very good. September 5th, Planning Board meeting is now open. First thing on our agenda, we have George's Estates bond reduction. Please state your name for the record.
Joseph Aruda.
And we did send our engineering firm out, Beals and Thomas, and they did review. We have a cover letter with about 8 items, just explaining all of the review of the plans, what plans they reviewed, right down to a couple of minor modifications you came in for, just to make sure that they had everything. And then they went on the original amount and went through each item. You had, they're saying that there's $137,616 left in work to be done, which is itemized through value of remaining work, and then the 30% contingency is for $41,285. Now, the one thing I'm not sure, and I didn't see it in the notes, this subdivision was approved 2008? No. When was the subdivision originally?
I think we started in 2006.
Yeah, the plan's 2000.
Okay, August 2006. So we're 6 years later.
We had that sewer issue that held us up for like 2 years.
Right, but what I'm looking at, when I look at this, the bond reduction sheet, even though the numbers stayed consistent.
Yep.
With the dollar amount, because it hasn't changed over the 6 years.
Yep.
Is Beals and Thomas, is their dollar amount based on today's pricing, or are they basing it on the,
Or did they just carry the numbers over?
or did they, right, or are they just carrying the numbers over? So, and for all of
No,
those.
they used the mean site work 2013 edition.
Well, I saw that, but how can they if the pricing that's on the beginning of this sheet is not means 2013 bond pricing? So how can they use?
They said they did.
They said they did.
We're updating.
So niches
Using data
will
from
know
the
prices.
2013
I would think
edition.
niche would be lower only because it's 2006's figures.
So if you went by niches, this amount would be lower.
Right. So that's what I'm looking at, and I'm not sure if we're holding back, like I say, if there's, at the end, are we gonna have any, are we holding money that's not estimated for?
That's
Because
outdated.
exactly.
So in effect, they increased the bond.
Just by,
Thomas
the
increased
bond would be
by-
increased, according, if you use 2013's estimate, then basically, Beals and Thomas, through no fault of their own, they're using 2013's estimates, which we would want them to use
Right.
on any subdivision that we would do, because we've had contractors come in and we've asked them, for subdivisions been going for, 8 years or whatever. We've sent letters and we've asked them to increase their bond by X amount of dollars. So I just want, so we understand, John, and for everybody that's at home and they hear a voice in the front row seat here, it's our new town planner. Welcome aboard. So I'm not really sure that,
So I'll follow up on that
that,
tomorrow.
that amount. You had a chance to review the
Well, I did. and
the
those-
estimate? Do you have questions, issues?
I do. I have a few questions. There was some, and I don't know if we had put it in a formal letter. I thought we had discussed it one night, the rhododendrons that were in the woods that the deers are gonna eat after the first night. I thought that we had excluded them. And then I thought our bylaw was 4 trees per lot. And I thought that we had talked about the left side of the road on that same meeting, because I left all the woods in. I don't know if we made it a formal discussion that night. We had talked about not having to put the trees down the left side of the road, so it would cut the trees in half. You know, I think they have 60-something trees.
Yeah,
I
it's,
remember that,
65.
'cause Part of, I remember that, because
But I don't know if
the
we put it,
rhododendrons at Carriage Hill, they had the same thing, and
they're gone the next
they're
day.
just gone. They
But-
get annihilated.
It's like
now, was all of
$5,000.
that was all put on the original plan that was approved though, right? So,
Yes, and then
so this total amount, 65 trees, is probably what's on the original plan.
it is, and that was also with the rhododendrons, because I thought we discussed it, and we
Okay.
all said that didn't make sense. We could.
All right, well, I do know when you're driving in the left-hand side, it's just a lot of woods, and there's maybe 1 or 2 houses gonna be on that
No,
side?
there's nothing all the way to the very end,
There's only 1 house on that side?
and it's beyond that last driveway.
Okay. The only thing I can say with that is John, Maureen can probably pull out minutes to meetings, see if there's anything in the file.
Yeah, because I know the decision, Dan and Joe, the only waiver close to that was the planning board waived the sidewalks on one side of the road, but there was no official waiver regarding street trees or
Yeah, I think there was
landscaping.
discussion, but I
I
don't
think we
think there was a
discussed
vote.
it, yeah.
So-
I did look today, James.
You did look,
Yeah.
Check the
oh,
minutes.
Yes, I will
Yeah.
look in.
if there was discussion on it and there's nothing, you're gonna have to come to us for
Yeah,
minor
and that's what I was
modification.
gonna ask you if
And
think I just
between
thought you
now and
talked-
between now and the next meeting, John will look up in the minutes and see what we did say, because I know we waived sidewalks on that side because there was no houses.
yes.
I don't remember about the trees or anything. It's all naturally grown, so adding trees, I'm not sure.
You're just gonna have to knock some trees down.
No, I
put some
remember you
trees
coming in, and that we were okay with, because I remember going out to Carriage Hill and looking at the rhododendrons out there, and they're all like getting uprooted, and they were just,
Yeah.
they looked horrible, they were around the basins.
So you're gonna have to ask
Just
for a
come back
minor
in.
modification, have a plan. You don't have to go through a whole
Just a-
engineering. It just has to be a request, and you have to let us know how many trees were approved, how many trees you're not putting in, or you're asking for
Is it
a
4?
modification.
Is our bylaw 4 trees per lot? Is that, how is that worked?
I don't even, off the top of my head. John will,
Okay.
you can.
All right, well, I'll
you
discuss
can
that with
discuss it
him.
with John.
And
And
the fencing, the fencing, the chain link fence that we're in, this detention basin's not a pond, so it's a dry basin. We try to, because we're keeping that woods in the back there, we were wondering if we could, at the same time, discuss that. So if I put a
Well,
plan
what-
together,
again, what I would suggest you do is discuss
discuss it with him,
go over it with John.
okay,
He'll pull out the plans, review it. You're gonna have to have some, proof of, it's a, dry basin, there's
Yeah, yeah.
putting a fence around it. I would suggest also getting a letter from Roger, not having any objection to it, because Roger's gonna be the one that's gonna have,
okay,
that becomes his department.
Yep.
He takes care of all the basins and stuff, so I would wanna see a letter from Roger stating that he has no objection, and for the reasons. And you get that information and bring it to us, and then we'll review it and take a look at it at that time.
and the same thing, ask just to, on a formal request on the cleanup, the $18,000 on cleaning the street.
Well, again, I saw that 18,468.65 roadway maintenance and cleanup. Like I said, I drove down there and the place is spotless. It's, how many houses do you have in there?
Well, right now, we've sold, we believe every lot's gone.
All right, so
So we're starting.
so how many lots?
We had 2 that were built.
Okay, but you also, you mentioned you were creating a access road behind those houses.
Yep.
For lumber trucks and hauling
Yes.
dirt, and so I would, while you're running the same, you're talking to Roger Stolte about the fencing around the basin, I would also, mention to him that, what you're doing, so you don't ruin the road and ruin the curb and the granite curb, and, the money's there, so in case something happens, the
Right.
town has the money to go and clean it out. Well, if you've already you've gone through the expense of creating another off-road for all the workers and all the trucks and everything to travel on, I'm sure, half of that can probably be reduced. There's gonna be, there's gonna be money left in there, maybe $9,000-$10,000, but
Oh, yeah, I mean, that just was, I mean,
I
that was
think
kind of
for,
absorbing it.
and again, you're gonna have to put that in a letter form, that you did create this access road, it's gated, it's for the construction of the last 3 or 4 houses, so the people don't ruin the existing road that's there and bother the neighbors, and,
Exactly.
so you're gonna have less impact on dirt and all the other stuff.
Now, as far as the board feels, is there any top coating? I felt strong of waiting till the last house being built, top coating in the spring. Just, we're still good for that, as far as the board's opinion.
How long has it been?
Well, the binder's been there since 2007.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
But
I don't
still
see
looks
any
good.
signs of cracking or distress when I go out there.
Yeah, and, again, that's gonna go when you schedule for the paving.
Yeah.
We're gonna be asking for the town engineer, Beals and Thomas, to go out and do an inspection. Roger's gonna be asked to go out to do an inspection.
Yeah, he did. That Beals and Thomas, he was inspecting the,
No, right, but I'm saying, when you're going to do your finished pavement.
yeah, right.
So you're asking about your binder is gonna be determined if it's good or adequate, or, if Roger approves it, then it's good. So Roger's the guy that's gonna be,
Maybe I should ask Roger that, and then ask him the same time on the top, if I have
a
a
lot
little
of what you're
time.
asking is all coming
From
from,
Roger.
is Roger's department.
All right, so I'll discuss that with you and Roger, and see if maybe he wants me to push now to have it done before this winter, and I can certainly do that. I just,
Well, for the $32,000, is that the top coat?
yeah,
For the $32,000 that's gonna be held, I personally would rather see it be done in the spring, after those 4 houses are done.
okay, that's the way I felt.
Because even though you're gonna have an access road for trucks and
Someone's gonna go
everything,
down the wrong way.
you're building 4 houses, and, to hold $32,000 to make sure that road is done, and I just think longevity.
Yeah, no
instead of
problem.
rushing to get it done now, and,
Yeah, I just,
I would rather, I think it would be a better job when the houses are framed and there's,
there's no one left. Okay.
Dan?
Yes.
The shade trees, all subdivisions shall have shade trees planted every 40 feet on each side of the street unless existing trees are to be preserved. So certainly the board has that leeway to grant that waiver if they see fit.
Perfect. So just ask that in a formal letter?
Yeah, but make sure, the issues that we talked about, the fence and all that other stuff, you go over with John and go over it with Roger.
Excellent.
One of them, he just answered for you, so,
Okay.
but I would touch base with him and Roger just to,
And I know Roger, in dealing with the trees at King's Estates, one thing he emphasizes to make sure that the street trees are on private property and not on town-owned
Town.
property.
Okay.
So that's one thing to make sure about, is
Yeah.
the town doesn't want to be responsible for maintaining them after they're planted, so.
So
Right.
after he plants them, the people can go cut them down. And we can't stop them.
I know, I ran into that issue with
and the last, just while we're talking about street trees, we require a full season of growth. So you won't get your bond.
Oh, yeah, I'm not worried about the bond part of it, I'm
Reduction
just-
money on growth part until like, I don't know, it's 18
fall
months.
next
or-
year.
So if you get in there and you can get planted,
He has a good point.
at least, they have, you come into the fall, best time to plant. They're gonna have all next spring, summer, and when you're done and coming for us for final
In
approval,
the fall, I'd be set.
you're already, 7
Yeah.
months ahead of the game.
Okay,
So,
excellent. Your next meeting,
we're gonna table, so we'll table the bond reduction. We'll continue that until you gather up some more information and let us know. So we'll continue that till, what's the next meeting?
19.
September 19th. Oh, my gosh.
Joe, put your phone number, I'll give you a call in the morning.
781.
And we're gonna put that down for 6 o'clock
Okay, 6 o'clock.
at
Thank you very much. I'll give you a call in the morning and chat.
September 19th. Joe, 6 o'clock, September 19th.
Excellent, thank you.
All right? Okay, Lot 10, Forge River Park Site Plan, public hearing. Step right up. Can state your name for the record.
Good evening, Todd Pilling from Pilling Engineering.
And so I don't have to interrupt you when you start talking, Mr. Turner, if you... Thank you.
Good evening. The last meeting, the discussion focused on paved access to the lot. And what we had was where the pavement ended on Forge River, we just had a driveway off the end of it. What we did is we took the roadway as it was with the width and the curving, and we pushed it in as far as we could go in a straightaway until we hit where a 3-to-1 slope would go down to the 25-foot wetland buffer, because we don't want to work inside the 25-foot wetland buffer. What we did is we have the road continues to pitch up the entire way so that any water that lands in the roadway will flow down the roadway and be collected in the catch basins that are currently in the road and going to the drainage basin that is currently operational for the subdivision.
Now, okay, so your road drainage, your road is being pitched, so the water's gonna run down.
Right, the road's going that way, this is all coming this way into our basin.
Okay. Do you have any information on the road? Where's that basin and the road go? Is that adequate to handle, how many more feet you adding?
The basin for the road, when this was done a long time ago, was designed to handle every one of these lots. So in fact, in theory, I could have taken our entire parking lot and dumped it into that drainage system. It was designed to handle it, but we are obviously not doing that.
Okay, so you have that information,
Do you have anything that verifies that?
yeah, do you have that information on the plan, just so we can,
No, I didn't make reference to the original drainage report or anything like that on the plan.
all right. Well, if you're running it into existing drainage, and it's gonna be going somewhere, I would think we would wanna see something on the plan, just stating that, existing drainage, there must be a plan on file.
Like directed to drainage basin on lot A as on
Yeah.
the approved, as on the approved plan or something like that.
Yeah, and just give us.
The old profile showed it going uphill.
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Well, it probably did, because the catch basins would be at a low point, but
They would have to go up to get over.
how
that.
much of your frontage is actual road?
This is approximately
40 feet?
60 feet of frontage. From here to here is paved out of the 143 feet of frontage that we have on the lot, but it's about 60 feet.
What scale is that?
This is a 10 scale. I blew it up from what you got there. That's a 20 scale on the plan.
So 60 feet, so from that point, heading back,
That turnaround's kind of useless, you know?
heading back to where the existing blacktop pavement is now, yeah, how far is that? So,
I'd say about 100, 110 feet.
okay, so there's about 100 and,
But I mean, on the actual lot
170
frontage,
feet, yeah,
there's only 50 or 60 feet,
of pavement.
yeah, on the actual lot frontage.
As I went as far as I could go, I didn't want to put like a vertical wall in here because I was afraid, I mean, I know the snowplows are going to push stuff in, but I didn't want to have to deal with setting
Yeah, and I think
stuff
at the last meeting, like Burke told them, we're not expecting to go in the wetlands to create the road, as long as we can have proper access and turn around to access that piece of property. Did you see the letter that Highway Department submitted? Have you gotten a copy of that?
What's the date on the letter?
April 25th.
Yeah, I have that one, yeah. I didn't know if you were referring to a new one.
No, we don't have any other. So did you take into any of those considerations, Roger's concerns on this newest plan about the mosquitoes? It's, the way the design is, it's gonna create
I didn't
ponding for
change-
mosquitoes.
Yeah, I didn't change my design. We have a high water table. If I try and make it a dry basin, then I don't fall into any category under DEP stormwater management guidelines for a basin. So that's why we have it as a wet bottom. If the board would like it raised up, right now, my basin is considered to have water in it, so it's not holding any storage volume in there, so if I was to lift the dirt up, it wouldn't impact the ability of the basin to function. It just would not, it would be not even an extended dry detention basin, it's basically just a dry detention basin, which, like I say, doesn't fall into any category at DEP. But I mean,
Would you be to put underground drainage?
the water table is at like 18 inches, so we don't have a lot of room for underground drainage. And the soil is very clay, so even if I tried to do that, I don't get a lot of infiltration happening. I've got some around the building, because that's right at the surface where I'm able to infiltrate. But trying to get it off the parking lot and put it underground, I don't have any height to make it work.
And the material isn't perk,
Oh, it's clay.
it's all clay.
Okay, so, all right, go ahead, keep going. You have your building location,
Yeah, I looked at his plan as far as compliance to site plan
Yep.
bylaw, and I called Todd, and it was just, most of the stuff was stuff that you typically waiver on a site plan this small. There was a couple things, like you didn't have any dimensions in the parking lot, didn't have any dimensions on width of pavement, didn't have any dimensions on throats, you know, in your interior parking lot. Then there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sections it didn't comply to. Elevation and facade of building, development impact statement, signs, but he said they're not gonna have any signs, photometric plan, traffic impact, landscape plan. It shows you're supposed to have a 3-foot landscape strip around the building, but they couldn't do that anyway, they have garage doors. And then parking area, you're supposed to have over 10 spots, you're supposed to have like islands, which I'm not a big fan of anyway, but you have to have, you know, trees, which would be part of your landscape plan for having certain parking space. And then vertical granite curbing on your radii and coming in. So he'd have to have a waiver list for all this stuff, and most of it's, I don't know
yeah,
if you
and
guys
those
have
items on a
building
4,000
plans.
square foot building.
Yeah, it's not even, it's
I think we.
for housekeeping, we'd waive all
Right,
that, I'd
right.
imagine.
Yeah, I did, I went through the regs and I did write a letter. There's 2 copies based on what Chris had to say. So I mean, I know you're not necessarily voting on it or anything like that tonight, but I figured I'd get it
Yeah.
on the record. As far as the revised plan goes, I haven't finished and produced multiple sets of the plan to make the changes, but the parking space labels and the dimension width labels, they all conform to site plan guidelines, they just don't have any of the dimensions on the plan, but I will add those to the plan.
Okay.
What are you gonna do for landscaping? Throw something on there? There really isn't, I don't know, you're supposed to either get a waiver, you know, that's the only one you missed. 5-1.
Oh, well, that's-
There's not much to landscape out here, it's parking lot, there's not really, not a lot to do, you get all basins and,
Yeah, and the constructed stormwater wetland's gonna be planted with wetland plants, for the.
well, you either have to do
conservation
one or
commission
ask for a
there.
waiver though.
Right, no, I'm saying
Yeah.
that area over there is planted for a different reason, so.
So what you're saying, there's no waiver on here?
Yeah,
Yeah, 5.1 is the landscaping section, and there was certain specific sections that I asked for the waiver from, but if you want me to ask for one from 5.1 carte blanche, I can do that.
yeah, it asks for it probably should have been a 5.1.1 or something like that, but it asked for a landscape plan,
Okay.
and it, you know.
You want me to take that letter back then, and,
I guess, no, because it's covered in the 5.1.2 and the 5.1.5 for the parking lot trees and for the landscape buffer, it's pretty much covered.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we're only gonna have some landscaping over here in front of the
Yeah.
office space.
Mm.
This is gonna be the existing woods along here that's there, so we're not gonna plant anything in there, and I told you that's the constructed wetland over there.
Yeah,
And
what's
over
not
here,
paved in his basin,
Just grass,
you
probably.
know, it's in, the rest of it's not planned.
So you're not parking it anywhere against the front of the building, so you don't have.
Well,
That's
right,
all,
we have
that's
the
a
bay
3-bay
doors.
garage, it's just bay doors.
So,
Okay.
which is why we can't put the landscape there, so. So we're trying to keep it simple, small, obviously. There's only 4 employees in the building, so, you know, I think the 15 parking spaces ought to cover it. so.
Now, I believe at the last meeting, I had asked about, if you'd spoken to the fire department about having, being able to access down here. And that was also in Rogers' letter about running this by the fire department to make sure that they're, you know, they feel that they have adequate access to.
Well, that was obviously why we tried to add the turnaround. Would I have liked it to have been longer? Yes. But like I say, now all of a sudden, we're gonna start getting into walls at the end of the road, and
Yeah, you couldn't.
I don't wanna do that.
Turn around.
No, I know, but asking the fire department if this is suitable for them to get in there is still something that has to be done.
Okay.
They'd have to back out the whole way, the way it is now. They probably couldn't turn around there.
yeah, I mean, we don't have any parking in here, so they might be able to make a radius, but it would be difficult, so.
Well, one way or the other,
We'll ask.
you know, they should be, I thought you were gonna do that from the last meeting. Thought I was, just talk to the fire department about if they can get a fire, if they're comfortable. We're gonna need a letter from the fire chief just stating that it's, for the size of the building, the building's not gonna be sprinklerized to 4,000 square feet. You know, it's not like it's a, is the building gonna be concrete like your other one over there, like blocks or?
It's gonna be a metal building, basically.
So it'd be a metal building,
It's gonna be, we're gonna use it to do some storage and some small repairs inside, you know.
So just make sure you tell the fire chief when you're meeting with them that exactly what the building is and what you're gonna have over there. I don't see.
Where is the fire hydrant?
Because we're extending the water line down, we are putting a fire hydrant in, which would be between the end of the pavement and our site, so. It ends up being
So that's good.
something like 220 feet from the building, roughly.
Did you had one? Where's
We did, it's at the end of the pavement. We had it up here, but I ended up having to put a wall in order to make grading, because I don't want to be grading on that lot. I'm trying to stay in the roadway, so the hydrant got slid back a little ways, but it's still there.
Okay, so they'll be happy about that, I'm sure.
I mean, we'll ask them if the location's acceptable, and obviously, like I said, I gotta change the plan anyway to label the parking spaces and stuff, so I'll just put that on there too.
Russ, any questions? Burke?
No.
Chris, anything else?
No, this is just for site plan approval, not for approval of the road or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, at this point, we are approving this, the way this plan is, so if they wanted to go in and finish the pavement and complete that section of the road and go in and build a building, they have every right to. So yes, it is for site plan, but it's also for what they're showing for the roadway access. Because that's still in litigation, not litigation, but we're still trying to figure out who owns what and what the legal side of it is. But like we had spoken at the last hearing, that for you to do some type of a turnaround, so whether you want to just go and do it, or you still going to go after the town to have them, to find out if they own it, and by them calling the bond, if they're obligated to do it, that's out of our hands. We do have a new town council, hopefully coming soon. We did check to see, because Mark Antine, was the town council, and still is on as needed, did send it out to another firm, which Maureen checked today to see if that firm had, finished their review, because Mark used them all the time for research and deeds and more of a property type law firm. So Maureen checked, and we haven't received anything back, and we're gonna give him a call ourselves. John will probably try to get in touch with him to see if there's anything. And like I say, the town's not gonna go long without a town council, so hopefully by the time, because when you go to the building department, that'll be a whole nother thing. So the question that you had about this not approving the road, I guess it's site plan approval, but it's also approving what they have drawn in the road. So if he wanted to go and finish paving and do the hydrant, do his water and stuff, I would think that that's what, that's his site plan as far as I'm concerned, because we're saying that he has access to it, but it's not finished, so if he doesn't want to go through litigation and fight.
I'm just wondering what'll happen when it goes to Dennis with the frontage thing, but in other words, in our determination, should we determine that's adequate access to the lot as well?
Exactly, that has to be
If you're
done.
gonna do that.
That has to be done.
Because if you just say it's approving the site plan, you're not going, saying it's adequate access.
Nope, no,
And
we're,
then it would get kicked back probably.
no, I think when we approve it, that's exactly what we're gonna say.
Yeah, I think that's one of the statements that you can, in certificate of action, we find that the access is adequate.
That way, then when it goes to Dennis and he does his review, and, you know, Mr. Turner wants to go and do the pavement and the water to get the access, so he's not being held up, then he has every right to do that. That's that's what I'd like to see on the decision, so it's done and it's not coming back to us, and
It'll make life easier for us if you put.
I think Dennis would have,
As long as we get a permit, I'm happy.
right, Dennis would have every right
If
to,
not, then, I got a lot that,
well, Dennis would have every right to approve it, because the planning board's saying it has adequate access. And if you go and pave it, and the town doesn't have to do it, then, I think everybody's gonna be happy.
there's still remaining funds. Is it possible to acquire those to help participate with some of
Again,
this?
the balance that the
You can do
town,
that, but as I said before, it'll cost you more than the pavement's gonna cost you to do it yourself.
well, I think he's looking for the funds to do
No.
some of the work.
That's a little too generous.
Well, the
Well, I mean,
funds,
there's
the
still
funds,
left in that,
There is.
bond taking.
and
I
that
don't
was
think any
a,
court in the land would.
that
think
was
the
a
town will
question,
pave
that was a
road.
question that we had for town
You know,
council.
There's
One of,
no way, because they'd have to, by that logic, you'd have to go all the way to the cul-de-sac and cross the bridge. There's no way in hell some court would make a town do that, just because some lawyer made a mistake on not putting
Well-
it to station such and such.
again, we're gonna get a legal,
No way.
we're gonna get a legal opinion, because we have to get a legal opinion on that, also along with the frontage of the
Yeah,
road.
understood.
Who owns it? Only for the future. We need it. It's been all these years and we don't have anything on record, so.
Well, there's no more lots after this anyways,
Right, but
unless someone from the other side of the river came back.
it's more, to me, it's more housekeeping. I think the town should have the information documented, so down the road,
Yeah.
Turner's come back in front of us, there's not an issue of
Right.
ownership or anything else, because it's just wasted a lot of time.
I think what Chris is mentioning is it could be chalked up, the courts would probably chalk that up to a Scribner's error.
Oh, yeah, they just.
Yeah, so the funds that are there, as soon as we find out where the funds belong, if the town is gonna keep the funds, then the town is gonna use the funds to make all repairs necessary to the existing roadways. That would be my recommendation when that ever comes in front of the board. We have a letter from Roger asking for that, to be able to use funds to make any improvements that need to be done. So we would treat any of those improvements just like any subdivision. John, now that we have a town planner on board, John will go out there, get a list together, get, pricing, because we're not just gonna let the $13,000 or $19,000 leave the account unless we have an exact figure of where the money's being spent. All right, so if you can
We're looking to continue then, so we can get.
continue, let's continue one more time, if, I'm not encouraged that we're gonna see anything from, town council between, now and then, but I'm, again, everybody up here at this point seems to be, satisfied as long as you address those few issues.
General condition too is the waivers are usually put on the front sheet of the plan as
Okay,
well.
I'll
So
fill that in there too.
if you're gonna be doing some drafting
Yep.
additions, like with the dimensions, do that as well. And that 5-1 isn't needed.
Okay.
Yeah, I read, I wrote
So
that in the
if-
landscape plan.
We make all the plan changes and we talk to the fire chief and he's okay with this and we get a letter from him. But we don't have a letter from town council at the next meeting. Is it worth us coming here? Do we need to wait for town council?
No,
to weigh in? You're okay with all that?
we're voting on it,
Okay.
one way or the other. You're fulfilling your duties that planning board is asking you for the information, so as far as we're gonna be concerned, when we take a vote, it's final. And then you'll go on from here
You're on
to,
your own on the permits.
yeah, you'll go for permits and,
Yeah.
yes, Burke.
From the little bit of reading I have done on this, I don't think you're gonna get an answer from any town council that's black and white, or even close, because this involves bankruptcy court, superior court, and then the normal bond issues with the town. The people who put up the bond went bankrupt. I have no idea who's actually entitled to that. I think that this is gonna be something they're gonna say, you want an answer on this, you gotta take it back to court and have some judge decide it. So, don't hold your breath.
So that's probably why Bert mentioned at the last meeting, you wanna spend the money for the legal issues, or just go and put the pavement in and finish it and get your building up.
Well, it all depends on if you're going to get a building permit.
Yes.
But all those
Exactly.
issues were already adjudicated with this agreement to judgment that Mark Antine, town council, wrote and agreed to with the parties. So all of those other legal issues have already been adjudicated and signed by a judge and entered as judgment.
And if that's true, then why has it taken 2 or 3 months for town council to come back with I still don't know the answer yet?
Well, we all know why.
So anyhow, we'd like to request a continuance till the next meeting.
Okay.
Or do we have time to act and things?
Yeah, he signed the time to act, he extended
To the
that.
end of the month.
On the end of October, she said, so.
Huh? Oh, for what, must have been at the last one?
Yeah, we did it the last time. So we can put you on for September 19th,
Okay.
and we'll put you on for the same time, 6:15. We have nothing on so far
Thank
for
you
that
very much.
evening. And I think,
So, can I just ask one more question? Do you think that the building inspector's gonna issue a permit?
I would never
No-
predict what Dennis may or
no
may not
comment.
do.
Okay. Because that's the crux of the whole,
Yes.
that's the whole thing. And if he doesn't issue a permit, then then there's, other issues.
We're
Well-
doing what we can do.
Okay.
from here, we're saying it has adequate access. You have the letter from the fire department,
Okay.
you have all that information. He has, in my opinion, he has every right, not obligation, he has every right to issue the permit.
Okay.
So,
And then it goes away. Then
It's from the board's end, because he may require additional information that is outside of
Right.
the site plan review.
Where you're putting in the road
Yes.
and where it crosses over a wetland and so on, that's all shown as road though on an approved plan, isn't it?
Yes, it
Back
is.
when you could do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you've got 150 feet of frontage on an approved road.
Correct.
Yes.
On a, approved road on paper. And they're saying,
Yes.
but then it's a legal issue that who knows.
Well,
Get into.
he's got 150 feet on an approved road, and the portion of it that he is going to pave, we are deciding is adequate access to his lot.
That's why I said that should be part of the decision, because that's,
and that's why I said, he doesn't have an obligation,
it's on a way or
he-
a way
he
determined by
can-
the planning board to be.
Right,
adequate.
he can approve, in our opinion, he can approve a permit.
And if you would like to rough out a proposed certificate of action, we won't be upset.
Okay.
And if you rough one out,
Well,
Send
maybe I
it.
should have Billy Rosa, can he call you and go over that?
you can
with-
send that to Mr. Fountain.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll have Billy Rosa give you a call and work that out.
All right,
Excellent.
very good, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Maureen, did you, the original copy that they signed,
I think Chris,
for the waivers, Chris, the waivers?
I just handed you a letter.
is that what you gave me?
Yeah.
Yep, no,
Do you want to make sure that,
Chris gave me something.
Here it is.
I know, where'd it go?
make sure that gets added to
I do have it.
the file?
I already did, I didn't remember.
Okay, so, make it known that we have 3 members of the board. Chris is stepping out and coming back in front of us as sewer department for a taking.
There's actually 3 taking plans, 2 for pump stations on Judson Street, and 1 on Dean.
Now, these pump stations are already up, aren't they?
No.
Judson Street, oh, Judson, I'm thinking of Locust Street, I'm sorry.
One's on Locust going up, almost done. One's on Joe Louis property. This one's on Dean. There's the application.
Give that to
Deed.
Burke.
And there's MLCs on it, not that it's really relevant, but this one's the MLC. Screen. And that's just kind of at the low point on Dean.
So
Going on.
you're taking an easement?
No,
You're taking-
actually taking the land.
Okay.
I mean, out of this enormous parcel, we're taking this piece.
Okay, so this deed has Ernest Halliday's as
Yeah.
and he still owns it. Okay. Has he signed?
Huh?
Has he signed?
No, we haven't, it's a taking, we don't have to have the owner to sign.
But you haven't taken it yet.
Yeah, this is how we've done all of them when I've done the other ones before.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the owner could just say, I'm not gonna sign, and that's, they can't hold you up. I mean, they can hold you, they can go to court with you afterwards, but they can't stop a taking.
No, I agree.
Are you all set with that?
Sure.
Okay, so, this one that's in front of us is only for Dean Street?
Yeah. I mean, I can show you all three if you wanna do all three at once, or if you wanna just do one at a time.
We have to sign all these, so let's just do one at a time.
Just on the Mylar with that.
You want to make a motion that we,
Well, is this a Form A or what is it?
A Form A.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve a plan entitled, Plan of Property Taking to be acquired for proposed Dean Street Pump Station, Town of Raynham, Massachusetts, by Reed Land Surveying, Inc., dated April 1, 2013, as a plan not requiring subdivision approval. Second?
motion made? I'll second it.
Seconded.
Do these all, well, they all gonna have different names on them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my only question.
Russ, any questions?
I don't
All
think
in
so.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I actually did 4 copies, because I want to give you signed copy for
Yeah. Are these our pens, Maureen?
They are they not working?
You might have to,
I don't know, I did.
There was 2 there.
you might have to,
I'll get some new ones.
you might have to have our new town planner test our pens before we start our meeting.
Where'd the other one go, Chris? I put 2.
That one's
The
working
other one
well.
there, I
Yeah.
think.
Try that one.
Do we all have to sign that?
Yeah, I missed you at the department head meeting. I didn't, I had a lot on my plate today, so I just wasn't, I didn't have anything to report, so I said there for 2 hours, you know? Yeah, you know? But I didn't.
Just do those in pen.
Yes.
It was the capital, I don't, I'm not gonna buy anything again this year. My guys take good care of this stuff.
With the way it gets tough, we might need to order pens.
Does Wayne have any nice running music that he can play for the viewers at home? No? He's gonna listen to plans chatter?
Chris, why don't you tell some funny stories or something?
No. Let's open up the plans for the next one, funny stories,
I
huh?
haven't had any fun stories lately. The next one
That was the funniest story
is
I heard.
on Judson Street. This one's actually named Judson Hollow, the other one is named Alexander Drive, even though it's on Judson, just so we can decide.